Hey everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here, and today we're playing Entropia Universe. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking armor, specifically everything from cool sets of armor to your basic pixie armors that some of you newer players are going to want to buy. We're going to go over how to pick what armor is best for you, when to wear armor, when not to wear it, how L armor versus un-L armor works, and this video is sponsored by a very cool shop owned by Druckhill, I think that's how you say it, but it's the series of shops over in Genesis Tower B. We're going to be going over there and checking out some of the more advanced armors. So first off, let's go over armor, what it is, how it works, and everything like that. So as you guys probably figured, armor is one of those things that you wear in Entropia Universe to protect yourself when a mob does damage to you. There's various types of armor, and each armor has a slew of different stats. So if you look at this here, we've got the classic ghost armor. That's what you guys usually see me wearing. You can see compared to the armor that I'm wearing now, it's A, not as cool, and B, it doesn't quite do as much protection. So you're going to see here, this armor that I have now, this Neuromancer armor, super high-end armor, right? You can see here 163 PEDs, sort of TT value out of it. The markup is extremely high. It's a very hard to find armor, so I'm super lucky to even be wearing this right now. This armor is probably, I don't even want to guess at how much it's worth, but it's worth quite a bit. And you can see right here, impact protection 48, right? Cut protection 34. You've got burn to protection 35. This is a great all-around armor. And sort of when you're looking at armor, one of the things you want to look at is just how much damage it protects against and the specific damage that it protects against. For instance, if you want to fight robots, an armor like, well, this one's probably not going to be too bad because if you look, it's still got that burn protection and penetration a little bit. But armor like this, right, it's got 35 burn protection, 2 penetration protection. That's okay, but if you compare it to an armor like Vigilante, which is overall a lot worse, you're going to see this has 21 burn protection and 12 penetration protection. So it's got a decent level of penetration protection, whereas this armor does not, meaning that Vigilante might actually be a better armor to take drones, because the way it works is each mob does a certain type of damage. Some mobs do acid damage, some do burn, some do cold, some do cut, some do impact, and it's all split up. And if you go to this site called Entropia Wiki, you can look up whatever mob you're thinking of hunting. You can see what it loots and what type of damage it does. So right now, while I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to look up a mob that I commonly hunt, Fifoid, right? It's going to take a little bit to look up, but when I look this up, it's basically going to tell me what percent of what damages this mob does, and based on that, I can go look at the armors and figure out what armor works best for me. So here we go. We've got, where is it? Fifoid. We're looking that up real quick here. And just by looking at it, it does 35 impact and 65% cold damage. So you want an armor that has a lot of cold protection and some impact protection. Again, this armor, great all-around armor, super high-level armor. It's going to protect against anything. But if we were looking at sort of Ghost versus Vigilante, Ghost, it has that cold protection and it has that impact protection. Vigilante has, let's check it out. What does it have? It only has burn, penetration, impact, stab, and cut. So the Vigilante would not work for those mobs, whereas Ghost would. But Vigilante is extremely good if you're going to fight bots because it is high burn and high penetration. So generally, anything that shoots you does burn and penetration. Anything else, it's probably going to do cut, impact, and stab. But it might do a variation of a few different things. So you've just got to keep that in mind, right? And yeah, you can see here, just from various excursions and various levels of play, I've got a huge amount of armor. And now we're going to go into sort of the differences, right? You can see these are all unlimited armors. They don't have this L next to them. For example, this armor right here, if this was unlimited, it would probably be worth tens of thousands of PEDs. I couldn't afford it. I probably couldn't even afford this L armor, but I was lucky enough to get it loaned out to me. Really good armor if you guys do get the chance to use it. But here you can see I've got a bunch of unlimited armors. And one thing you're going to notice about all my unlimited armors is that they are fully repaired. And there's a reason for this, right? Because unlimited armor, what happens is as it decays, as it loses price value, these stats over here are going to drop. So if this ghost harness was at half, you would not see acid protection that is 11. It would be a little bit under 11. So its maximum protection is 11, and this is what it actually protects for here on the left-hand side. As your armor decays, if it's an unlimited armor, it's going to get less and less protection out of it, and you're going to be sort of, taxed for that, which is not what you want. This means that if you've got an unlimited armor, you always need to have your PEDs in it. So if you look at these armors that I've got here, you can see that I'm spending a ton of PEDs just having them sit in this armor, and just they're wasted there, right? They're PEDs that I can't use, and that does sort of suck, okay? Now, if you've got a limited armor, that is going to be full stats all the time until you hit 0 PEDs. So that's one thing to remember about limited armor versus unlimited armor. Unlimited armor always has to be repaired. Limited armor doesn't need to be repaired, and its stats are going to keep with it until it's at 0 PEDs, and you just can't use it anymore. Whereas unlimited armor, as it gets less and less of that full TT value, it's going to lose stats. So keep that in mind. That's a big thing to remember. Also, when you're looking at limited versus unlimited armor, it's a lot easier to buy. It's a lot more sort of lootable, right? There's a lot more sets out there. So something like Necromancer armor, I don't even think there's no unlimited version of it, I don't think. But the limited version, it's going to be a little bit cheaper than if you were going to buy something that's unlimited that sort of had the same stats. And when I say a little bit cheaper, I mean way, way, way cheaper. We're going to go to we're going to go over to the shop now and check that out, because that's got some great examples of rare limited armors, and we can just look at those and you guys are going to see the difference here. But yeah, limited versus unlimited, if you're looking at eco, unlimited armor is going to be more eco if the price of the limited armor that matches it is over 110%. So if you're paying something like 120% for your limited armor, it's probably a little less eco than if you used unlimited armor. Okay, also remember that what's going to happen is when you're hunting a mob, the TT value that decays is going to go into that mob. So when you loot it, you're going to loot some of that TT value that you just spent. And what this means is when you pay for something in markup, when that markup's a percent and you're losing that, you're not going to get that back. Whereas with unlimited armor, you're just going to get that full TT that you're burning through back. So always keep that in mind. But generally, any limited armor, if it's under 110%, it's probably more eco to use than an unlimited armor. But of course, if you want to sort of max out your capabilities, if you want to use some heavy duty armors and you don't want to pay tens of thousands of PEDs, limited armor is the best way to go. And you guys are probably going to see me actually buying a set of limited armor at some point, because it's just so enticing. It's so, like, it's a lot harder to keep a full set, right? With unlimited armor, once you've got a full set, you've got that set for life. With limited armor, you're going to have to keep buying new pieces, and that is a cost. It's a cost that's going to sneak up on you. It means that all at once you're going to have to spend 100 or 200 PEDs to get another piece. And one thing to remember is that mobs do not hit you evenly. They're going to do more damage to sort of your chest than to your gloves. Each sort of part of your body has a percent of the damage that's likely to take. So if you're buying pieces, try and buy the pieces that take the most damage first, right? So if I'm going to buy a set like this, right, this Necromancer, let's say I don't have the money, I'm probably going to buy the chest, the legs, the arms first, the head first. Maybe the feet can stay till the last, and I'll just use like ghost foot guards or something like that. Keep that in mind. There's a lot to keep in mind with this. Hopefully I'm doing a good job of explaining, and if you guys have any questions, leave them down below. Anyways, let's head over to this guy's apartment, because he's really got some cool sets, and I want to show you guys that, because it's something to behold, and it is really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to, where is it? Genesis and Maratha headquarters. So we're going to teleport over there. What you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to find 5B, the tower. So we've got D, E, and, whoop, is this B? B right there. So let's head in. So this is the apartment complex. We're going to head up to the 5th floor. The 7th floor has plates. So we're going to talk about all this as we go. And basically the way it works is when you're first starting out, my recommendation would be to get Pixie Armor. It's an unlimited armor, super easy to use. It's sort of your beginner level armor. After that, if you want to upgrade, and I'd say stay unlimited at this point if you have the PEDs to spare, go with something like Ghost Armor. That's what I've got right here. It's a very good all-around armor. It's going to get you that sort of mid-game level And after that, you're going to be ready to start specializing. If you want to go robots, get a set of vigilante. And after that, just start looking at specializing and getting sort of special sets of armor for the mobs that you want to hunt. So let's go into this apartment. This is 5B. You're going to see welcome to the armor shop visit rooms. 5F for looted armor, 5E for crafted armor, 5B for enhancers and high tier armor. So this is going to be the very high tier stuff. Let's actually go to a different shop to start off. We're going to go to 5E, which is going to have your crafted armors. So what's happening is Drakil has contacts, I'm assuming with crafters, or maybe he crafts some of them himself, and they give him all sorts of armor. And you're going to see this. You got these shopkeeper pads here, and this just has every sort of armor that you could think of, honestly. And whatever the shopkeeper was wearing, that's what armor it's going to have. And I love the fact that he did this because it's so cool. Like, for instance, this armor. It's hot pink, very cool. Let's click on it and see. Right here, we've got Leash Armor. If you look at the stats for this, decent stats, right? It's very, very good. It's got burn, cold, cut, electric, impact, penetration. So this is probably a good armor if you're going to be fighting something that's doing some electric damage, maybe some cold damage. All around good armor. And one thing to remember too, the way that armors decay. So with Loot 2.0, they changed the way that armors decay. They only decay for the damage you take. So if you're wearing an armor that has no acid protection and you take acid damage, that armor won't decay at all. It's only going to decay if it takes impact protection. It's going to decay for the amount of impact protection it takes. So something like this, if I get hit for 2 damage and it's all impact, it's going to decay for 2 damage worth of impact protection. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you still don't want to over armor because this armor does have a high markup to it. So you only want to use those high markup, especially those limited armors. Unlimited, not so much. You can use a high level unlimited armor and you'll be fine. But if you're using limited armor because you're paying for that markup, you only want to use those high level limited armors for high level mobs. So ideally, if you're fighting something like Aatrox, you're going to be using ghost armor or that equivalent in sort of its limited form. You're not going to be using something like this because you're going to be paying a lot of markup and you're not really using it. Now, if you're going to be fighting something like, I don't know, Yaman or something like that, this armor might be the way to go. If you want to do Hoglows, it might be overkill even for that. Hoglows, maybe you want to use something like martial armor, or you want to use, I don't know, boar or something like that, right? Now, let's say you're doing bristle hogs, high-level bristle hogs. This might be the armor for you because look at this. This is called firewall armor. It literally just does electric and stab. And this is why this shop is so important to visit, because you can find these like super hard to find armors. I don't know how he has the contacts to get all these people, but these armors that just nobody sells. This is the shop to come to find them. Like when you look at a set like this, right? And you see something that says decade, right? Decade. This means this armor has not sold on auction in the year. So most likely there's like one guy selling it, and it's a Drakil, and it's at this store. So this is the store to come to. That's why it's so cool. When he was like, do you want to do the, like he messaged me and asked like, oh, you know, can I sponsor a video? I want to help you out. I like what you're doing. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, and then I'm like, all right, let me check out the shop because I'm not up to date on all that. I went to the shop. I'm like, holy shit, this is cool. So I just had to share. But yeah, you can see again, like these armors just aren't sold. Like to find a place like this where you can come in and buy a full set, like here we go. This is the armor I'm wearing. Literally, I think he probably just pulled it out of here. Like where I can come in and just be like, all right, let's check the market value. No one's selling it. It's just this guy selling it, and I can buy this set. That's pretty cool. That's just awesome. I can come in here and buy the full set. And honestly, this armor's killer. And like people are like, geez, this looks cool. Everybody said it looks cool. So yeah, if you have the PEDs, this is the one to buy. And we just glitched out a little bit. No worries though. We're just gonna reload the shopkeeper. Yeah, you can see I'm standing under the light. We got some cool look in here. I've got my red rose. It looks good. Now you guys are like, all right, Serial, you're just showing off a really cool armor, but let's get back to the basics. So here we go. This is, if you're a new player, this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to, whoop, no, that's not what you're going to want to do. If you're a new player, you're going to want to use Pixie Armor. I don't think he has Pixie Armor for sale, to be honest. Now that I'm looking at it, that armor looked a lot like Pixie, and that jumped in and was like, it's not Pixie. If you're a new player, you're probably going to want to get some Pixie Armor. That's pretty cheap. After that, you're going to want to get something like Ghost. So Ghost, you're going to see here, this is limited version of Ghost Armor. I'd recommend getting the unlimited version. Probably goes against everything that's supposed to be in a video that's sponsored by someone selling limited Ghost Armor, but I'm going to tell you guys the truth. Ghost Armor, there's reasons that you might want this, but in general, I wouldn't recommend just buying limited. I'd buy unlimited because you're just going to get, you're going to be able to repair it. And again, look at this markup, right? 161%. You can buy the unlimited version, and what's going to happen then is you're going to be saving about 50% for every hit that you take. If you look at the stats, this is going to be sort of interesting. Let's look at the stats here. Actually, let's look at like piece to piece. So if you look at these stats here, let's detach this too. You're going to see that they match up perfectly, right? Everything matches up perfectly. The durability here is 2,000 on my unlimited piece, 12,000 on this limited piece. But again, because of the markup on this set of armor, it's probably not worth buying. It's probably going to be better off to buy this unlimited version. The only reason you want to buy limited is because you can't store 45 PEDs or a total of like a couple hundred PEDs in an armor set, and then you might want to go limited because you can just put all your PEDs into it, slowly get them out, and as it drops in value, you don't need to repair it. But again, look at the markup on this. It's 12 extra PEDs, and then you don't have to keep buying the new set, and you don't have to bother with it. So when it comes to some of these things like Ghost and some of these unlimited armors that are slightly more obtainable, it's definitely the way to go. When you're looking at some of these more insane armors, right, like martial armor or like what I'm wearing here, it's way better actually to just go with the limited set, because you're not going to be using this armor much. You're going to be using it for group hunts. You're going to be using it for when you're taking on sort of these big mobs, and you're probably not going to be doing it that often. So yeah, 5F, this is all crafted armor. So this guy basically has contacts with crafters, gets them to craft these armors for him whenever he needs it, and then he puts them out here on display, and you can come and use them. Now 5F, this is where you have your looted armors. From what I've been told, generally these looted armors have a slightly lower markup, so always keep that in mind. Here you're going to have something like Jaguar. That's a pretty good armor. Again, like limited, there are unlimited versions of Jaguar, but those are extremely expensive. So if you want to play like a rich guy but you don't want to spend the money, this is the way to go. Again, because you're playing like a rich guy but not spending the money, there's a markup. This markup's only 107%, so this means that Jaguar Armor Unlimited is probably devalued by that. Here we've got something like Angel Armor. For those of you guys who don't know, this is a very high-end armor. 140% markup for that. That's well worth it in my opinion. And again, I always pull up this markup, right? Like this market value. Generally in this shop, the values are going to be very fair. Like if you look at the year and compare it to this, not too bad. For the month, the prices have dropped a little bit. This means if you're willing to spend the time, maybe you want to go on auction and buy this armor. But in general, the shop has very fair prices on most of the armors, and the fact that you can come here and just buy a full set when it's going to be very hard to find these otherwise, that does provide something. And again, look at this. Like for the month, 154%, 159% here. Not that much of a difference. And honestly, again, it's very hard to track these armors down because there's been one of them sold in last week, and maybe 10 it looks like sold in last month. So just, keep that in mind. But yeah, Angel, this is a very good armor. And again, it's very cool that you can come here and just look at all the armors. You can see them. You can see how they look. You're going to know exactly what they look like. And honestly, even if you're a new player, I'd recommend visiting just because this is such a cool shop. You've got Tiger Armor here. And then down on this end, you've got some of the more, the cooler armors. You've got Supremacy. This is like the armor to have. This is such a cool looking armor. This is OG, just amazing stuff, and the markup on that is so low. It's tempting. I want to buy it. I really want to buy it, but I need to get the PEDs together. You've got some Shadow Armor, and here you've got that Martial Armor that I was talking about before. A lot of cool armors here to check out. I definitely recommend doing it. I'll probably make a whole video just going over armor. Like, look at this Martial, right? 110%, so this armor is actually pretty eco. And again, like, look at the markup and decide if it's worth it or not to buy it at a shop. There's a little bit more of a markup probably because it's a shop, but not on every piece. And again, you're going to be able to buy it all at once without searching, so it's, it's a pretty good deal. And again, this is like right on 110%. That's the perfect price. That should be what you're looking for. And it's even decayed a little bit, which means you're going to be getting it at a cheaper price. And this is actually the perfect opportunity. Look here. You can see these stats all full on, right? Like 20 burn protection, 20 burn protection, 23 cut, 23 cut, 28 impact, 28 impact. Perfect. That means that when this armor decays, you don't actually get taxed on it. And that's a great reason to use limited armor too. And again, when you're paying 110% or less, it's actually a little bit, well, it's about the same efficiency as unlimited armor. Just, you're not going to get any of those PEDs back in the loot pool. So just remember that. Keep that in the back of your head. But that's, don't let that play much of a factor in it. Basically, unlimited armor, if it's 110%, it's probably worth buying, and it's going to be cheaper, and you're going to be able to kill some way cooler mobs. If I wanted to kill the mobs that this armor will let me kill, I'd need to be spending, again, probably thousands of PEDs. Whereas for this set, I can probably spend hundreds, maybe 1,000 PEDs and get it all, good to go. Again, look at this, 71 PEDs. You've got your harness. Bing, bang, boom, it's done. If you were going to do this with an unlimited set, it would be a lot higher. And again, there's so many cool armors. I just want to show them all off. But yeah, I recommend you guys come and visit the shop, honestly. Even if you're not looking to buy armor, it's a great shop to visit. And then we also do have, he has some rare armors here at 5B, so we can check that out real quick. Then we're going to go up and check out some of the enhancers, because that's a great way to, enhancers are a great way to just keep your armor going. So here you go, you've got shopkeepers. So this one's going to have your durability enhancers. So what this does is basically means that your armor is just going to last longer. It's going to be more durable. Enhancers are a great way to extend durability and stuff like that. But the one thing you've got to remember with durability and defense is the markup's going to be very high. These things are going to randomly break. So there's always a chance that you're going to spend a lot of money and they're just all going to break at once, and then you're out of luck, or they could last forever, right? Like, I've had enhancers that I've just put on stuff, they've lasted longer than the item, and it's like an L item. Like, I buy 10 enhancers, put it onto my armor. My armor's durability goes a little bit longer, it lasts a little bit longer, and when I get done, I've still got 10 of these things that I bought. So, like, enhancers are sort of hit or miss, but a lot of people do like them, and if you pay a high markup for something, it's definitely worth thinking about using these. And again, remember, you got level 10 enhancers and level 1 enhancers. Level 1 will fit in that level 1 spot. So what's going to happen is your level 1 enhancer, this is going to drop in right here. Your level 10 is going to drop in right here. Make sure you have those slots unlocked before you buy it. I made that mistake, and this is why I've got this level 7 depth enhancer that I'm never going to be able to use. So that, don't learn from my mistakes, folks. Again, we've got some durability enhancers. Here you can see, what is this? High tier number Perseus. So this is good. This means this armor is going to tier up a lot faster. So the higher your tier number, the higher something tiers up. Or what is it? Lower the tier number? But yeah, like, the higher the tier number, the better things are going to tier up. So high tier number Pegasus. Here we've got that. And again, this is high tier number. This is high tier number, like 1,000. So this is going to tier up really fast, which means you're going to be able to use these tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 enhancers really fast. And that's very important with L armor, because L armor, once it's done, which means if you've got something that doesn't have a high tier number, you might never get to that level 10 tier. You might never be able to use that. So this armor, like 82 tier, you're probably, it's going to take a while to tier that up, right? Like, you're going to be most of the way through it probably by the time you're getting to those higher tiers, if you ever get there at all. So just, again, another thing to keep in mind, and here you've got your high-end and specialized armors. Again, a lot of this stuff is just really cool to look at, because, like, Shadow Harness, it's hard to find these things, and the fact that he's actually managed to track some of this stuff down is, it's impressive. Supremacy armor, this is hard to find stuff. And I'm not sure what this is going on here. So one of these just sold very cheap, and this is like a little bit higher. But again, you've got to look at the tiers too. So this is a high tier 1 rate, pretty high tier overall. So that's probably why it's higher end armor. And again, that's the thing. Like, you can sit here and analyze this stuff and figure out the pricing for everything, but tiers do affect pricing. So when you see something with a higher tier, the markup is going to be a little bit higher. And then you've got to think about it. Do you want to pay that? So you've got to think, are you going to use those tiers? If you're not going to use the tiers, buy armor with low tier levels. If you are going to use those tiers, then maybe it's worth the extra money, especially when you put those durability enhancers on and it's a higher level armor. So yeah, I think as much as I want to keep doing this, because there's some really cool stuff in here, like really cool. I could spend hours just looking at these armors, right? Like 45 burn protection. There's some crazy stuff, but we're going to keep going, folks, because this is an armor video, or this isn't a Serial Overdrive. Well, this is actually a Serial Overdrive looks at armor and talks about armor video, but whatever. We're going to go up to level 7 now, and we're going to talk about some other stuff that you've got here. So you're going to notice earlier on I had this, right? This is armor plating. You can use armor plating just to sort of amp up your armor. So again, vigilante armor, I really like using that for drones and things that do sort of that shooting. They're going to do a lot of burn and penetration damage, so that's why I've got burn and penetration along with 6A plates, which protect against burn and penetration. Really good for that stuff. And here you've got, wow, I picked the one armor that doesn't have it. So here on my Ghost, you can see that I've attached a little bit of 5B, which enhances the cut, impact, and stab, which means it can take a lot more damage. Again, the durability on these things is lower, so you are paying a bit more. If you can get armor that has that, you're probably going to pay less. But again, you know, if you've got a lower end armor, if you got an un-L armor and you want it to last a little bit longer, the way to go is just to buy those plates. Or you want it to last a little bit higher, buy like stuff that's a higher level. So let's go ahead and check this out. I completely spaced on what numbers the apartments are. Let's check the owners here. Who owns this one? David Ghost owns that one. Here we go. This is Druckhill. This is one of his armor, his shops. So here you can see he has the list of rooms, armor plates. And again, what you're going to find generally is lower level armor plates. Those are going to be the ones that you're going to frequently use. And when you're dealing with something that's higher level, that's going to be a plate that's going to be used for events and sort of hunting those high level mobs. Personally, I like these plates that are just, you know, you can sort of repair them. Easy to use, you don't need to worry about getting a full set, but as you can see here, look at this burn, 12 and 11, and here it's only doing 2.4 and 2.2 because it is 5.1 PEDs in value. If it was a full up to 25, it would basically be doing these. It would be doing 12 burn, 11 impact, but because it's not, it's only doing 2.4 burn and 2.2 penetration. So here you can see if your armor decays too much and it's unlimited, it's basically worthless. It's not worth using. So that's 6A. You've got all sorts of plates and everything like that up here. You've got 5B. This is all 5B, I guess. What else do we have here? 5C. You've got a bunch of stuff. You can basically run through this and see what stats you're looking for. It really depends. Like, this is all around plating. If you're looking to just increase your armor all around, that might be good. And then if you want some like higher tier stuff, you can always do that and go with something like this that's going to be limited armor. And again, 26 cold protection. That's crazy. Like, you know, the sky's the limit, right? You put these things on your armor to get a little bit of extra oomph out of it. So that cold damage, that might be if you're fighting Fifoids and you've got something that does a lot of like impact. Let's say they do impact damage, but it does no cold damage. Maybe you just throw that hand, that sort of plate on, and now all of a sudden you've got your cold damage. So there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of different combinations of armor, and that's the thing, right? That's why this is such a hard topic to jump into, because I can't just tell you this is the armor you need. This is what you want to do. If you're a new player, I can. If you're a new player, you want to do Pixie, then you want to go probably to Ghost and Vigilante, and after that you want to start experimenting with your limited armors unless you have a lot of PEDs to spend. And here you can see you've got some more of these limited plates. These are doing a lot more protection, like 42 shrapnel protection. Again, that's a crazy stat, right? Let's look at this. What do we have here? This is just crazy. Some of these I didn't even know existed. 66 burn protection. Like, these are crazy. These are like your PvP armors. These are your PvP plates. Because this is 36 penetration. This is like crazy stuff right here. If you're new to the game, you probably don't even know about this, but like these are some crazy high stats. Like, most armor you're looking at is going to do 10 to 20 protection. This is just a huge increase in it. And then here, this is sort of your discount section, I guess. So these are a lot of just various sort of armors and stuff like that Drill is looking to not get rid of, but just be done with, I think. So you're going to get a little bit of a percentage percentage bump down here if you're looking at this. So if you're looking for some disco shin guards, you can go ahead and buy them here. Again, you're going to see usually they sell for 114. He's selling it at 110. Very good price. Very interesting looking armor. I'll say that for sure. I don't know if it would be the best armor to wear in any sort of scenario, but definitely looks cool. And there's certain armors that people buy just because they look cool. His partner actually has a shop that has some of the cooler looking armor. So we're going to go back down to 5B and check that out while I sort of wrap up this video. It went a little bit longer than I expected, but I had fun with it. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys were able to learn something. If you have any questions, as I said, like, feel free to comment those down below because I'm here to answer all your questions that you've got. So this is not an apartment owned by Drill, but it still has some, I think I'm saying the name right, it has some cool armor, like this stuff, right? This armor you're not going to buy because you think it does good protection. It doesn't really have good protection, but you can look like a character from Star Wars, so that is pretty sick. Honestly, I was tempted to loan out like that armor, see if I could use that for the video, but the guy wasn't online, so I had to settle for this stuff, right? I had to settle for a very cool black-looking armor that does a ton of protection. You can see you got some Roman armors. This is just weird. This is just weird armor. Like there's some weird stuff in here, but if you're looking for style, this might be the place to come. 5C. So yeah, you guys get the idea. There's armors for every different type of scenario, and the main takeaway that you guys should be taking away from this is as follows. Entropia Wiki is your friend. If you're looking to hunt a specific mob, definitely go there and look up that mob and figure out if, you know, what armor you should be using. You can also use it to look up armor stats. Once you figured out what armor you want, you got to figure out or what mob you want to hunt and sort of like that. You need to figure out what armor you need. Generally, you know, starting off, you're going to want pixie armor, and then you're going to want to look at the specialized armors. So if I'm looking to go hunt like a Rurley on Crystal Palace or something like that, I might be looking at more acid. If I'm looking for Fifoids, I'm looking for a little bit more cold armor. And again, as you get to those higher level mobs, it's really going to start depending. If you're one of those people who wants to chase like Hoffs, right? You can go here, you can see like Mulmun. These things just loot like crazy. Like these are like pretty good ones, right? You might want to look those up, figure out what the best armor for that is, and then you're going to be going after some limited armor that's very, very, very expensive and has some very cool stats to it. Maybe this even. But yeah, generally, if you're a new player, get Pixie first, play around with that. After that, you're going to want to go up to Ghost, and then you want to play around with your limited armors. I keep repeating myself because that's really the way to go. Healing is less eco than just having armor. So the way you want to do it when you're hunting, if you can hunt without armor, that is best because you're taking basically no decay. You're just letting yourself sort of naturally heal up. If you're hunting without armor and you find yourself needing to heal, that means it's time to put on armor because healing is super inefficient compared to armor. So best thing you want to do, right, is be wearing armor and not having to heal yourself. If you're wearing armor and you have to heal yourself occasionally, that's okay. If you find yourself hunting something and you're healing in the middle of like shooting it, that means that you need a better armor. That's the worst case scenario because then you're healing, the mob's healing itself naturally, and you're losing some of that damage that you've done. So you're actually being way more inefficient by healing when you're attacking a mob than you would be if you pay an extra 20% markup for an armor. So again, keep that in mind. Don't avoid limited armors because they're limited. I myself am guilty of doing that, but for some of these higher level things, like when I find myself looking at Hoglows and looking at some of these higher level mobs that I want to hunt, I'm going to need to get into limited armors because that is the only way to go if I don't want to be healing myself every shot that I take. And if I'm doing that, the mob's going to heal up and I won't be able to kill it. So yeah, limited armors, like there's some really good use cases for them. I think Bayrock on my Discord has a Marshall set that he really likes, and everybody recommends it, right? Like you get that limited armor for those special hunts. If you want to come on a team hunt with me and we're hunting something special, it's going to be great if you guys can pull out those limited armors because those are going to come in handy. Like they're going to be super useful. Anyways, guys, I think it's time to end this video. It's been 34 minutes long. Hopefully I've dumped enough information on you guys that you learned something. If nothing else, maybe you found the shop and you can come look at all the weird armors that are here. Maybe buy one or two for yourself. And yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed this drill. Thank you so much for loaning out this armor because it looks super sick. It's going to make for an amazing screenshot, and I'm so glad that I could actually use it to film this video, and hopefully I'm going to be able to work with him. And what we're going to be able to do is take some of these armors out and actually go hunt some of these mobs, right? Like go hunt some of these higher level mobs with these higher level armors and really show you guys some great combos for hunting some cool mobs. But those are going to be future videos. So thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.